Hello, what's up everyone? I am Chris Aurelius with the EDM Nightlife Show. Today I get to interview an artist who has been here in Vegas since 2001, performing all over the place, talking about DJ Vegas Vibe. How are you doing?
Doing good, Chris. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Old school guy here. You know, you are a true turntablist. You know the ins and out of a DJ booth. In 2001, what was it like out there, you know, trying to DJ?
It was insane back then. That's what brought me here to Vegas. Basically, I was Vibe before there was Vegas Vibe. So in 2001, I got flown in to play at Rain. And, Palms footed the bill for airfare, hotel, it was kind of the headliner over there. And then I'd never been to Vegas before, so I ended up staying a couple days later, like on my own bill. I paid my own bill, and then the promoters took me out. Actually, it was ROB took me out back then. He took me to Sunday night was Babies back then, which was the old Body English. Monday was Rum Jungle. Tuesday was 54. Wednesday was China Grill. So I just couldn't believe, the explosion of how many people were in these clubs on these off days. I said, you're gonna tell me it's Friday every day? It's payday every day out here? That was a wrap for me. So I shut down shop in Philly, packed it up, came out here, had to start over, had to kind of rebuild the image. I went from being a headliner to another local. So then, I just rebranded the name and just kind of built it from there. I never put out Vegas Vibe until I played pretty much every club in the city at that time.
Tell me about that first gig over at Rain. They brought you out there. I mean, that is a huge venue. How did you feel, when it was your turn in the DJ booth, and here you go? How was that feeling? What were you doing at that time?
It was amazing. I mean, it was just, phenomenal. That was back then, and Rain was the #1 club in the country. You know what I mean? So I felt that I'd finally reached something. I was already traveling on the East Coast and stuff, but nothing on that level, And it was awesome getting to perform with ROB, who, in my opinion, is hands down the best DJ in this city.
ROB is a great turntablist as well. And back then, we're talking about actually playing records.
Yeah.
You were lugging in your vinyl. Yeah. And do you think that the sound quality, from that vinyl, is overall just the best compared to, let's say, using USB stick nowadays?
Well, I mean, there's the warmth of the vinyl, which, we all still love. At least us old school guys and these young cats won't know anything about. You can't fight the technology, as far as all that goes. But if I had a programmer to send out a sonic wave to just wipe out everybody's Serato box, I would, because it'll put a lot of real DJs back to work,
How many crates of records did you lug around with you? These are heavy, I myself, has carried around records for a long time, and were you prepared? Like, did you really have like a few amount of records you were going to play, or did you just come into the club with a bunch of record bags?
I brought two record bags full, 50 apiece. So I brought at least 100 records with me, and just throw down. You never know, Especially being at Rain, it's kind of an open format over there, so you got to bring a little bit of everything.
And then on top of Rain, I saw you also perform at Studio 54. Yeah. We had those great EDM nights where we were throwing down on that stage, all vinyl as well. Yeah. Same with Taboo, amongst other places. How long was it where you actually got to play with those records until it slowly started, diminishing, and you don't really find those turntables in the DJ booths anymore?
It was only a couple years, and then it kind of faded out, as far as, and what happens is that the clubs aren't building the DJ booths for vinyl records anymore. You can't play them anymore because they're not built right. They're, the booth isn't set up right so that the vibrations are just going to knock the needle off the record anyway. So, like I said, you can't fight the technology. From then you went to CDs, and then now we got the whole Serato generation going on.
And do you ever miss that? Do you think that, maybe one day you're going to want to just play like an all vinyl set somewhere?
I do. I'm actually in the process of putting together a night over at one of these local spots. I don't want to release the venue just yet, but I'm calling the night Analog. And it's going to be an open turntable format, but vinyl only. No, strictly wax, no CDJs, no laptops allowed. And I'm hoping it's going to bring out, the real jocks of the city. You know what I mean? The ROBs and the guys like that to come in and just come throw down. You'd have like a 4 turntable, 2 mixer setup up there. Everybody just get down. I don't care how bad your records are scratched up, you know what I mean? But just come and play and get down, you know.
You'll be hearing some snaps, crackles, and pops, but it is real vinyl. That sounds great. I cannot wait to see that coming up. You know, in the meantime, other than just DJing, you are into your production as well.
Correct.
When did you get started with that?
I've actually been, you know, self-taught for the past, 7 years, and that's what I've been learning. That's starting with sound design, you know, from the fundamentals of, building a synth, from a synth wave. I don't want my sound to sound like anybody else, you know what I mean? And what I've been trying to do is build this sound where it's noticeable. And I kind of like to reference Benny Benassi. When you hear Benny Benassi, when he came out with that Satisfaction song, you immediately knew any track that he put out after that, because that was his signature sound, because he made it from scratch, you know what I mean? Nobody else sounded like him at the time. So that's what I've been working on, building my synths, building my sounds and stuff like that. And right now my album's getting actually close to getting wrapped up, and, getting the final touches on it and everything. So
nice. What do you like to use? Is it inboard gear, outboard gear? Is there a certain program you like to work on more? Or analog synths? What do you like to use?
I'm definitely an Ableton guy. I like the sound design capabilities of it, and then as far as rendering out, I like to render out in Logic. Get a fatter sound out of Logic.
Cool. I cannot wait to see your album coming out. I'm sure it's going to hit big, and your own creative Vegas vibe sound.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to start noticing you because of that sound.
Yeah.
You have something coming up. You're going on tour soon, aren't you?
I do. I'm heading back to Korea again, and then these guys are lining up a bunch of shows in Asia. I know the one is mint for sure. They haven't disclosed any other spots yet until they get it locked down, but last time I went to Korea, it was off the hook. I do like 4 or 5 clubs over there. I do stereo, I do mass. And then they do a couple festivals out there. They bring me out, headline me. It's pretty cool.
And this tour is coming up now in the near future. Do you think that your album will be ready by that time? Are you going to be able to throw that down, when you perform at these places?
I'm hoping so. I mean, that's the plan, But as an artist, it's hard because you're your own worst critic, So we shall see.
Oh, I know all about that. Now, other than going to Korea, you said you're going to Hawaii as well.
Every year I do 4 islands, 5 shows over there. Promoter flies me out. Good time. We start off in Maui, then we go over to like Waikiki. Then the next day we do the big island of Hawaii itself, and it's so large. I'll do 1 day in Kona, and then the next day they drive me around to Hilo, and then the last day is on Kauai, the little island. So I do the last show there, and then the promoter gives me 2 days vacay, right on the beach in Hanalei Bay. It's good.
Now that's in your future, but in the meantime, I know that you are performing over at Monte Carlo Friday night or Fridays, the pool party?
Yeah, I do the pool party at Monte Carlo right here every Friday, 12 to 5. It's awesome.
So since Body English Nightclub and After Hours in the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino has opened, you got a residency over there. How do you like performing up on that stage?
Oh, I love it. I love it over there. It's the DJ booth is where it should be, front and center. Right in the mix of the crowd. You know what I mean? Great interaction, great vibe, great sound over there, and great crowd. It's just awesome. I love it.
In the meantime, how can we keep up to date? Your tour, your music. Give us some of your links where we can find you.
First and foremost is djvegasvibe.com. You can find me on every link. SoundCloud, Facebook, all of them. All you got to do is DJ Vegas Vibe. It's either / DJ Vegas Vibe or Vegas Vibe. If you Google me, I'm like 80 pages deep. You know what I mean? If you put DJ Vegas Vibe in, it's endless on how much stuff's there.
Now, you and I have been record collectors for a very long time, and I think that it was about us like having the best of the best to rock a crowd.
Right.
Now that electronic music has gone mainstream, do you think that it's all about your music, or do you think there has to be an image that comes along with you now?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's definitely there's an image. I mean, it's a business. You know what I mean? People are rebranding. People are using aliases. But you got to be a full package. You got to have your logos intact. They got to look good on the flyer. I'm not one for the whole gimmicks type thing, but you got to have like I said, the full package together.
And do you think people need to reinvent themselves? Every couple of years, is that where it's going, or do you think that one person can just stick with his guns and succeed?
It's a good question. We were talking before about possibly rebranding of some other stuff and coming up with an alias, but You know, like Vegas Vibe is kind of pigeonholed into that kind of party rock type, you know, vibe basically. So, you know, in the EDM stuff, they don't want to book me so much, you know, next to a Paul Van Dyke or something like that, where they bill me, you know, as this big Vegas DJ, and it's an open format kind of sound. So that's why I'm kicking around ideas for a new rebranding of something else that, you know, that's not attached to Vegas Vibe. You know what I mean?
You know, in all these places you played, you know, in Vegas and abroad, you know, tell us one crazy story, some kind of a DJ gig that you had that maybe stands out in your mind that you remember. Could be silly, could be weird, could be anywhere. What was something that really just, you know, you remember about now that you'll be telling your kids about one day?
I don't know how crazy stuff would be, but I mean, one of my favorite gigs, you know, to date would be in Korea at Club Mass, and just the vibe over there is just insane. It was like, over there, it's like the rave scene was here 10 years ago. The harder I played, the more they loved it, you know. And I'm playing for 10,000 people, you know, in front of me. And it's just, hence the name Mass is the name of the club, Club Massive, and it was just off the hook.
Sounds fun over there. You know, if you had somebody in mind, whether it be at that club or anywhere that you would like to collaborate with, you know, who would that be? Who would you want to, you know, see in the DJ booth with you and performing?
Crafty Cuts. You know?
Oh yeah, Breaks UK. Who doesn't love Crafty Cuts?
Crafty Cuts he's bad. He's a bad man, that guy. So I would definitely like to see. I'd like to see him brought out here and you know, let him throw down somewhere. Yeah,
they did bring him out here once to play for Dub Church, and unfortunately I missed that set. You are right. I would love to see him back into town, and maybe both of you guys can, you know, collaborate together.
I was out of town that weekend. I remember that.
Me too. Crafty Cuts come back. You know, work up the Vegas vibe. You know, you guys can throw down a cool set. You know, I know him as a breaks DJ. That's one of the genres that has not been so much focus on the strip out here. But now again that, you know, EDM is mainstream, all these sub-genres are starting to pop up, like breaks or drum and bass. I mean, do you think that those genres can make it on the Vegas Strip, or do you think it's just going to be, you know, the 4x4 for some time now?
Well, I mean, I hope it will. You know, in my opinion, a lot of the new, you know, this mainstream way it's going is putting the EDM music kind of, you know, it's kind of garbage, a lot of it. You know what I mean? But Crafty, he's real diverse. You know, he almost like his style that I like that he plays is called like new funk. He's kind of taking like the old funk records and just kind of bringing them up to par, putting almost like a dubstep background, dubstep bass lines into them, and it's got you know, swing to it, you know, and that's what I really like him. And he likes to cut and scratch, and you know, I don't know if you've seen my sets, that's what I like too. So.
Yes, you are a true turntablist. You know how to scratch. You know the ins and outs of that DJ booth. You know, we were talking about that earlier as well, because we have, you know, a ton of records that we've collected throughout the years, white labels. And you're going to be bringing some of those back and like sampling some, you know, in your own production?
Correct. You know, there's a lot of like the UK stuff and the tidy tracks and the old UK hard house stuff like that, and the white label stuff like that. And I think guys that like us that have that, you know, old vinyl collection is what's going to separate us from these new young upcoming producers who don't have access to that type of stuff. You know what I mean? To get those kind of samples and stuff like that. That's what I play. I've never sold a single record of mine. I've got a 10 by 10 storage unit, floor to ceiling, all vinyl. There's one walkway. It's about this big, and nothing but vinyl.
So, you know, since I've known you, it's been a while. You have done radio. You're a club DJ, and you've done raves.
Correct.
So you're doing all of it. I mean, do you have a preference? You know, do you like one, you know, or the other? Do you play different sets when you're, you know, playing on the radio compared to, let's say, throwing down in a club or a rave?
I mean, definitely. You know, there's definitely a difference between radio and any kind of outside, you know, club or rave. Radio, you know, there's not, you know, an audience to, you know, like to vibe off of. You can get away with a lot more. You can get away with a lot more cutting and scratching and stuff because they're not, you know what I mean, specifically out dancing. It might not be like that. You know, clubs, raves, you know, I love the big raves. I love, you know, the big festivals and stuff like that.
Do you do a lot of scratching and cutting, like if you did play a big festival there, or are you just focused more on, hell, having a great time?
Well, I'm always having a great time. That's why I love, you know, what I do. And but as far as cutting and scratching, yeah, I push the limit, and I always have. I'm constantly up there. If you see my performance, I'm up there sweating. I'm never not doing anything. You know what I mean? And I've always been a big fan of taking kind of the minimal minimal electro tracks or minimal tech tracks. And I come from like a 90s hip hop background, so there's nothing more I love more than laying hip hop acapellas over these dance tracks and doing actual live remixes, like where it's really live. It's not pre-edited. It's not
Is that what it's like when you're DJing in the clubs? Do you think about that, before you go on, that I want to cater towards more of what they want me to play, where there is, maybe I have some stuff that I'm going to play that they might not like?
Well, I mean, I'm a pretty good judge of the dance floor, as our job is basically as a dance floor engineer, we run what's going on. So, and you got to play off the vibe, and here it's different, here in Vegas, you kind of got to cater a little bit, but at the same time, a good jock can push the envelope and still make it work, I think.
Indeed. All this, technology that we have nowadays that, we're facing, where all these gadgets and gizmos are coming out, one after the other, and now everybody's pretty much DJing, you can't get away from it now. I mean, do you think that person as yourself who has the knowledge coming from like the real DJing, do you think that all these new free Js are calling them? I mean, do you think that's kind of hurting the scene, DJing for free just to get themselves known?
Well, I think it hurts the quality of the performance and stuff when you got these free Js, or we call them microwave DJs, where they get their Serato box and they get their laptops and they got the Serato face where they're stuck in their laptop. They have no stage presence to them, and they're still young. You can't hate on them. But I think eventually what's going to happen is the clubs are going to realize eventually when, you book these free guys and, they say they bring their X amount of friends, but yeah, they brought 30 friends with them. But at the end of the night, when the bar sales ring, because they couldn't keep everybody else, the other 2,000 people that were there, you couldn't keep them entertained. It's going to pan out, So eventually these clubs are going to get wise and realize the value of, the real DJs.
I was into electronic music since I was 11 years old. You've been in this for a long time as well. Do you think that this hype on electronic dance music is going to last, or do you think it's going to maybe start dying out after a while?
I think it's going to stick around. I mean, I did an interview I had a full-page spread in Nightclub and Bar magazine in 2008, and one of my quotes was, "DJs are the rock stars of tomorrow." And that's basically what's happening. You know what I mean? Like turntables back then, a couple years ago, before the CDJs, turntables started out selling guitars, as a musical instrument or whatever. So it's definitely here to stay.
Hey, DJ Vegas Vibe, keep a lookout for him. He's going on tour. He's got an album coming out Fridays at the Monte Carlo. Starting next month, again, we'll see him over at Body English Nightclub and After Hours in the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Keep a lookout for this guy, real turntablist, producer. I'm Chris Aurelius with the EDM Nightlife Show, talking to DJ Vegas Vibe. See you guys again soon. Keep it locked.